Hi, this is Trinisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about watching your tongue. I know it sounds like super harsh and it's a weird title, but I was listening to a sermon earlier today and it was just about, repenting and rejection, and it talked about resentment. And it wasn't like a three R's thing. It just so happened that those were the three R's that stood out to me. Not that I'm trying to like do a shameless plug with my book with the five R's or anything like that. I'm just saying that it was just one of those things that really stood out to me. And I'm probably not going to remember all three of those in the exact order that I just said it because I didn't write any notes this time. So so I felt like it was really important when I was listening to the sermon and I could feel something in my spirit when I was listening to the pastor talk about what you're speaking over your life and the different things that you're doing in your life and how sometimes you can start resenting people. And instead of you taking whatever it is that happened and learning a lesson from it, you can end up like defeating yourself, defeating the purpose of going through the pain or learning the lesson. And God, whenever He puts you in a storm, whenever you're going through something, He's not doing it so that you can feel badly about another person or to make them feel badly in one way or another. He's doing it because He wants you. He's doing it because He wants you to acknowledge the things that went wrong. Not for you to put up a wall and like push people away or make people feel like they don't need to be a part of your life or whatever else. And I'm not saying that there aren't times that you do have to have standards and boundaries for yourself because, of course, you have to have boundaries. I just mean that when something happens in your life and you do something that you regret or that makes you feel a certain type of way, when God gives you another opportunity, it's not for you to just push people away or to hurt someone before they hurt you or whatever else it is. It's for you to take whatever it is and learn a lesson from it so that you can be stronger in the next season. And the pastor said something about, and this resonated with me so much because, I always constantly used to push people away. And see how I was careful when I said that because I did not want to reiterate or say something like the power of the tongue is so powerful. I really didn't want to speak that over my life. I want to be very clear when I say that that's how I used to be because I don't want to be that person anymore. And he was saying that sometimes you'll have people in your life that hurt you or people in your life who, they don't appreciate you and they may not see your value and they may treat you a certain type of way, and once that person hurts you, you just put up a wall. And so when the next person comes into your life or other people come into your life who are supposed to be your friend or supposed to help you with your business or whatever else, you don't even allow them the opportunity to get close to you because you're so busy telling yourself that you're never going to let that happen again. And so, in order for God to continue to bless you and use you, He has to have a space where He can get to you, where He can allow people to get to you. If you're blocking yourself off from everybody, if you're not allowing any new person to come into your life, there's no way that God will be able to give you the blessings that He has for you, to open the doors that He has set forth for you on the path that He has you on. And sometimes I know like there's single women and there may be other people. And I bring up single women a lot because now I'm a single woman. And so when I have new people that I meet in my life who are also single or whatever else, and they talk about the things that they've been through, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like God, please don't let that happen to me. But no, it's like, it really does put things into perspective and it really makes me analyze it in a different way. So instead of me just thinking, of whatever it is in my head that I feel like will happen, it really gives me another idea of things to look out for. So I'm hoping that it helps me be able to prepare better so that I don't get taken advantage of and I don't get used or abused or misused or whatever else. I hope that with the information that I've gained, it's allowed me to see some of the red flags that I won't have to go through. And I think that's something that a lot of people lack doing. They lack learning from another person's experience and taking those experiences to benefit them so that they can make better decisions in their life and they can can make sure that they're choosing the right people, even though God, if you put everything in God's hands, God will allow you to see if someone's not for you, or if someone isn't going to be good for you, or if they don't belong in your life at that time, or whatever else it is. So for me, I really I have to be intentional with making sure that I release control and allow God to do whatever it is He needs to do in my life. And know that regardless of what happens, God will be there with me every step of the way. And so for me, because of some of the things that have happened in the past, it's been really hard for me to be vulnerable. And I am no longer the type of person who it will be difficult for me to be vulnerable with with the right person or the right people in my life. And so I have to release control and allow God to just be in control of my life, no matter what's happening, no matter what it is that He intends to do. And sometimes God will remove people from your life who aren't supposed to be there. And you might be holding on and you can't understand why you're so stressed out, while you're so worried, while you have so much on your plate and it feels overwhelming. It's because it's not a battle for you. It's not something that you're supposed to have. You're holding on to the wrong things that God told you a long time ago to release. And I know it might be hard because you want certain things in your life, or because you feel like it'll be beneficial to you, or you feel like it'll be something that you need in your life or you'd like to have in your life. But God's telling you that that's not for you. You're fighting a battle that's not even your battle to fight. You are fighting for things that don't even want you, or things that don't even need to be a part of your life. And every time you try to hold on to something that's not for you, it's going to deplete you, because you have been prepared for battles that are for you, that God already has given you the answers for. He's not he's not giving you the the proper weapons and everything else that you need to protect yourself from something that He didn't plan for your life. Like, I'm not saying that God isn't all knowing. Of course He knows the type of decisions that you're going to make, and He's there with you every step of the way. I'm just saying that when you select things and you don't allow God to do it, you will be entering into a war that you weren't even trained for. This isn't something that God intended for your life, and you are making it harder on yourself. You really have to be mindful of what it is that you're doing in the future and the people that you allow in your life, because not everyone is supposed to be there. And I know I kind of went off on a tangent there. I don't know how that happens, but sometimes I'm just speaking and it just kind of just keeps going. And then the weird thing is, I will look at a video and I'll be like, I don't remember saying that at all, but okay. But yeah, it just happens. And so, what made me want to do this video on watching your tongue is, in the beginning of when I felt like I was healed and I felt like I was ready to like meet new friends and meet new potential people and to grow my business and stuff like that, I really was speaking things over my life that I shouldn't have been speaking over my life. Like, when it came to the business, I was believing in myself, but I also was like, "Oh, I'm going to do such and such and such." And like, you'll hear me say things like, "I'm going to change the world," because that's what my intention is, to change things so that things can be better, so that we can start taking responsibility for our actions and stop blaming other people. I'm not saying that other people don't do us wrong or treat us wrong or whatever else, but sometimes there's red flags in every situation, but we choose to overlook it because it's something that we want and not what God wants for our life. And for me, I really want to, going forward, be mindful and make sure that whatever decision I'm making is because that's what God wants and not what I want for my life. And I might have said things about my business like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do this." And then I would feel myself hesitate, and I would say something like, "Oh no, but that seems impossible," or something like that. But you know that old saying, even the words impossible is I'm possible. Yeah, everyone knows that. And so I think it's really important for us to be mindful of what it is that we're saying out of our mouth. Like, there were people in my life who were trying to become my friends or whatever else, and I just felt like I don't know if I can trust anyone else. And I felt like I push everyone away. I don't push everyone away. I had to like negate it. And so I really just kept saying things and speaking things over my life like this person's going to hurt me just like the last person. This person, there's no way. They're saying that, they would do all of these things for me, but there's no way they would ever do all of these things for me or anything for me because, what makes this person different from any other person? And speaking that over my life. And then the next thing you know, the person is the same as everybody else. And we really do have to be mindful of what it is that we're saying. God can only give us what we are open to receiving. We can't receive something good if we're saying nothing but bad things are going to happen. We can't allow ourselves to build trust with someone if we are boxing ourselves off and not just guarding our heart, but creating a still barrier around the guards. Like, there's no way that anyone will ever be able to get close enough. Not any blessing that God has for your life is going to be able to get close enough to you if all you're doing is pushing them away or saying all of these negative things that are going to make, obviously, if you're putting out all of that negative energy, how can anything good come near that? And I know I'm talking about energies, and some people are like, well, it's not very religious of you to say energy. I feel like, and I need to stop saying I feel because really, what happens in faith is beyond anything that we could possibly feel. Is something that you can never even you can't explain it because what God does is unimaginable. It's usually something that you might dream about, but it still wouldn't happen the same way, and it would still be astonishing. It's not something that you could just quite put your finger on. You would never be able to understand God's plan. It will all happen the way it's supposed to happen. And so when you speak things over your life to stop the blessings that God's doing, like I'm going through this journey and I'm making like all of these things happen with my business, and I feel this doubt creep in and I feel myself say something, and the next thing you know, everything stops. Like the blessings were coming and coming, and it was just like because of the one thing that I said, it halted everything with my business, which in turn started the waiting season. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like you really do have to be careful with the power of your tongue because you might think you're just saying something and it might just be in a moment you just feel a certain type of way. You need to take it back. Like, don't speak any negativity over your life at all. When it comes to friends, don't just say this person's going to hurt me like that one person did in the past. And I'll never be able to trust someone like blah. Like, you don't know this person. Don't just prejudge them and make them into something that they're not. Because if you notice, I don't know if anybody's ever done this, but I actually did this after I read this one book. Trying to remember what the name of it was. I've read so many books this year, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was some book about changing your perspective or the way that you think about things. Like it had something to do with like it wasn't emotional intelligence. It wasn't that book. It was another book. And I cannot think of the name of it. I'm going to remember it probably after this video and then be like, oh, yeah. But I was reading this book and it had talked about changing your mindset. And instead of you thinking things negatively, change that into a positive thing. So down a list, like there was a list in there and there was different examples of things that this person did in the past that helped them change their mindset to start thinking positively. So they made a list, and like one of the things was they said, well, I am too slow or something. And then he countered and said, I'm faster than most people, or I might be slow. It might take me time to learn something, but I'm not slow, or something like that. It's like a way to negate whatever negative thought it is that comes into your mind with something positive, so that every time you have like those reoccurring things that cycle in your mind, those things that Satan is trying to use against you to make you feel negative or to doubt yourself, will be you can use that as a counter perspective. So it will allow you to be able to see yourself in a positive light instead of just always thinking negativity. And it's Satan is so predictable in most instances because he will always try to use the same things to bring you down. Like the same thing that worked in the past, he's going to use it again. Maybe he won't use it in the same way. Maybe he learned something from the last thing, which is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be gaining knowledge from every test that we have. Everything that knocks us down, everything that tries to make us fail is supposed to allow us to learn and grow so that we can be stronger, so that God can use us for our purpose. And we can't be in our purpose if we're allowing Satan to knock us down to the level that he wants us to be at. We have to continue to grow and build and learn and understand so that we can be everything that God created us to be. And sometimes I feel like we might forget that because it'll feel so horrible in the moment. It'll feel like, oh my gosh, I really can't, but you can. You can do anything. And you have to constantly remember that and make that list of things. Like those, it's always those five things for me that just keep reoccurring in my mind. And it'll be like guilt. It'll be some other things, or it's usually not mistakes that I've made, like per se. Like for the most part, anything that I've done 2 years and further ago is just like, okay, I learned a lesson from it. This is what I'm gonna do in the future. Now that I know better, when I do something wrong, it's harder for me to forgive myself. And that's just me being transparent because I know better. And it's not that I'm intentionally making a mistake to try to do not to do horrible at this thing or whatever it is that I'm doing or being tested at. It really is just like in the moment because it feels comfortable or it's something that I would normally do. I just do the same thing. And what I used to do is not the person that I am now. So it's hard for people to respect me if I'm making the same decision or if I have the same response or if I do something similar to the decisions or the responses that I used to make when I was really not healed. And so for me, it's like I have to be super intentional in every area of my life. I have to be so I don't want to say awake, but I have to be attentive. I have to really pay really close attention to everything that I do in order for me to do the right thing. And I say the right thing because some things I know better for, like I know I wouldn't lower my standards for this. And then my first initial response before anything else, before thinking about it, before having a moment to take in whatever's happening, is to do like the insecure thing immediately. That's like my first response is to do that in any situation. And I don't know where it's coming from. Like I feel healed. I feel like I want better. I know that I deserve better. And yet still, I feel like there's that feel word again. That's not faith. That's emotion. That's something that can change gradually through time. Just like relationships, you're in a relationship and you might really feel like you like this person. They might do something that you don't like, and all of a sudden you don't like this person. But what does a person's character say? Like, who are they really in their core? Are they like a decent human being with good values? Do they really respect you and treat you the right way, regardless of how your spark feels or whatever those other cliche things are out there in the world that make us feel like that's what makes a good friendship or a relationship. It doesn't. And I say that like I'm speaking from experience. I don't have any good experience in yet. I don't have any good experience yet when it comes to any type of like romantic relationship at all. So when it comes to relationship talk, I have absolutely no no educated, really good things to say, like good information on that. There's nothing that I could give or add to add of value when it comes to a topic like that because I have absolutely zero experience in a healthy relationship or anything like that. So in in the past, I have to add like little stuff on the end because the power of the tongue. So I really just don't know about that. I just have to have faith and then do the best that I can. and it's not easy. I always end up saying it's not easy, but it really isn't. Like I thought that, and this is just me being real. I thought that I would get saved, rededicate my life to God or whatever, and I would, repent for all of these mistakes that I've made in the past. And immediately, like, I knew I would make little mistakes or I would not always do the right thing. But I really felt like if I meet any person who is going to become a friend or I end up being, talking to or, a job or something, I would do the exact right thing that I'm supposed to do in that moment. Like, I really in my head felt like I was going to make all of these perfect decisions that were going to lead me into like where I would be in control of my life and I could just make these decisions, these drastic, huge decisions that would be all the right decision for me in that very moment. Like, I wouldn't have to think about it because I would know better. I would just immediately be perfect. Like, that's how I, in my head, saw this going. And it did not go like that at all. I was a hot mess still. And like, I would like to say once a hot mess, always a hot mess, but let me stop saying that too. I was a hot mess. Now I'm just a human being who makes mistakes like every other human being. I do the best that I can every day, and I'm always constantly trying to do better. That's how I'm gonna have to say it. And so I really wasn't expecting myself to be like allow myself to get dogged out or allow myself to be taken advantage of at work or allow people to become my friend who don't deserve to be my friend or I mean I haven't had too many people who are real horrible people. I mainly just have had regular people and then it has been like some other things that have happened that are regarding friendships or something like that or like I don't want to say that word because it might give a hint to who it is. So let's just say a person, people that have always been in my life in one way or another as a family friend or another human being. Let's just say that. Okay, so I really, really felt like I was just going to be out here in the world just striving with, I knew I was going to make mistakes. I knew I would fail, but I thought the failures would be things that I haven't experienced before. I didn't know that it was going to be a cycle of things that I've already went through that I would be tested in that would show me that I haven't grown as much as I thought I did. Like I really thought that I did a lot of growth and a lot of healing and I was so much of a better person. Like I really knew I deserved better and I just expected people to treat me better. But people will treat you however they can as long as they can get away with it until you put your foot down or until you speak up for yourself. And that's just life in general. And it's not that I didn't expect to meet mean people or people who would take advantage of me or people who are just normal human beings that just want, whatever the easiest solution is for them. That's just normal human behavior. It doesn't have anything to do with someone being bad or good. It's just, it is what it is. And so for me, I just thought that I would be stronger than that. I really thought that I would just go at this thing, hit the ground running, like be so good. And I really failed horribly. Like, that's just me being real. I really failed brutally. Like, when I failed when I didn't know better and I really just wanted to be miserable and I just settled for a lot of stuff because I thought that's how life was, it was just like I didn't know better, so okay. Of course I failed then. But when you fail when you know better, it hits a little different. Like you really feel it deep down in your soul, like soul crushing, heartbreakingly. It's not like a good feeling at all. It really feels horrible. And I say that with no emotion, but it is what it is. And it really sucked. It really, really sucked. I'd like to pretend like, oh yeah, girl, I just, made that mistake, then got back up and kept on going. Like, no, I really felt it. Like, it really was heartbreaking for me to see myself in that way. For me to fail so drastically when I just knew that I wanted to do better and that I deserved better and to still settle for nothing. Like, it really made me, like, I could hear Satan and the negative thoughts in my head constantly saying, you never deserve better. Like, you were never going to get better. This is the person that's the type of person who's always going to be in your life because you're never going to speak up for yourself, which I will. I am going to speak up for myself, and I am stronger than that. And even though Satan tried to use it to take me out, to make me feel like I want to be doubtful about people, I'm not going to doubt people just because I didn't see things or I didn't do things the right way, because I'm never going to be completely perfect. I'm going to strive to be better, but that is not, I'm going to strive to be better. And that also means that while I'm striving to be better, I have to take those instances and learn from them. I can't just harp on mistakes that I made. I can't just harp on things not going my way, or just because I want something and God says this isn't for you, for me to just throw a fit. Like, I can't just be in my feelings just because God says this isn't for you. Like, I have to keep constantly going on in my life. And I know, like, and I don't think this is just me. I think this is other people. Someone was like driving or something, going some way, somewhere. So I saw like the car, but I was like, oh, I don't know what's happening. So yeah, you just really have to, you really have to be mindful that you're not going to be perfect. Do not speak negativity over your life. Don't just feel like because something's not going the way that you plan that you have to speak negativity over it. Just because someone doesn't do something the way that you want it. Like for me, I'm just going to give this example because I feel like it's important for people to know how I felt. I say that with a laugh because I have to laugh to keep from crying because it's so sad. But I mean, it happened. It is what it is. And I just have to learn and grow from it. I can't harp on that and allow Satan to like manipulate my mind into making me turn into this perpetual cycle of negativity. I have to constantly continue to push forward so that I can be in my purpose. And so, so I was like, okay, when I'm friends with someone and they try me or they like do something that I'm not okay with, I'm just going to say I'm not okay with it. Then you get into like a crowd of people or something. And maybe you say, no, like, not, no, like, I'm not doing that or something like that. And they hear you say that you're not doing it, but they feel like it's not that serious. And so what I could have done is, you know, speak up for myself the same way that they're speaking up for themselves, but not in a like we're going back and forth kind of way, but in a like respectful tone, and just say what you're not okay with. But I don't have to embarrass somebody in public to do it. And I can also pull them aside and tell them, hey, you know, going forward, we're not going to be able to do this again. And just keep on moving with your life. And when it comes to like potential people or whatever, I really felt like the person, like if someone came into my life, I didn't do any of the stuff right anyway. So like epic fail, but but I really felt like what I was going to do is, you know, get to know someone in whatever way. Like if they were truly interested, I mean, it's on them if they are. If they're not, I can't make someone like me. So I felt like they were going. I felt there we go again. Well, I was thinking what would happen is we would be getting to know each other if they're interested and I'm interested. And I felt like I thought I would have more control over the situation. I would just be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally interested. And they would totally want me because I was interested or something like that. But it doesn't happen like that. Some people might pretend like they're interested and they're really not. Some people might be interested. They might think you're attractive, but they might not be that into you or whatever. I don't know. But I didn't expect like different scenarios to happen in this case. And I also thought that okay, once we both decided that we were interested in each other, then we would be talking or whatever else. And then eventually, like maybe go on a date or something like that. And then like I would know all of the red flags. Like in my head, I had this idea of red flags that I was looking out for. Things that would definitely make me do like a hard pass, like I'm not okay with this. This is not going to be like something that I want in my life, and it would be my decision. I didn't expect the other person to have a decision, which sounds crazy, right? And so I was just like, oh yeah, it's totally up to me. And it's not totally up to you because it's two people. It's, you can't control the way someone else thinks, or if someone is or isn't going to like you, or if someone you will or will not be someone's type. So people have their own opinion, their own choices that they get to make in their life. So it's not up to you. And so for me, I was just like, oh, okay, I can do this. The person either will or they won't, and then I can just move on with my life. And if something, is a red flag, or if there's something that I'm not okay with, I can speak up for myself. I did not in a million years. Like, even if I could have redone it again, I don't think I could have done any better. That's the sad part. I really feel like I thought I would have an opportunity to speak up for myself. I thought that if I wasn't okay with something, I would have the opportunity to say what I wasn't okay with. And weirdly, you can call it Satan, you can call it just life, whatever you want to call it, but when there was something that I wasn't okay with, I wanted to just like pick up the phone, have a conversation or whatever, and just say what it was that I was or wasn't okay with and how I felt about the situation. I didn't know that I would be tested. And then then the person would make it seem as if I was being like controlling because I wanted to get to know the person who I was talking to, like in a real way. Like, I don't believe in inconsistency at all. I don't believe that that's a healthy thing to have in my life. And for me, when there's someone who is inconsistent, it makes me feel like I can't trust a person. It makes me pull away. It makes me not be able to be vulnerable. Any type of person who is inconsistent, because I've had inconsistency in the past, and it makes me put up like this barrier around me, and I can't be vulnerable. And so for me, it's already hard enough for me to even give someone a chance, for me to even think about talking to someone. And so for me, it was like a slap in the face. And so I know that sounds like drastic and extreme, and people are probably like, it's not that serious. Yeah, it's not that serious to you because you didn't think that you were going to be perfect and make all the right decisions. You just knew life was going to happen the way that you thought it was going to happen. That's what I thought too. See how we're on the same page? So I really did feel like I just knew like I was just going to be on top of things and I was going to do all of the right things that I needed to do, and I would be standing up for myself, and I knew what my standards were and I wasn't going to lower them for anything. And a part of me felt like, because I really wanted to voice my opinion, to finally speak up for myself, because in the past I was so afraid to say how I felt about things. So when the person said that, it sounds like this, or, when you're doing this, but it's blah, 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 blah. Like, they have every right to feel the way that they feel, and they might have their own reasons for saying things, or I could say things in a different way because I didn't do everything perfectly because I'm a human being. And so, and they're human beings. So it's two imperfect people trying to communicate in a way that they feel like they can voice their opinion without being disrespectful. And so, so I really just said it the wrong way. It was really important for me to speak up for myself, especially when something was important to me, especially if I felt like that person deserved a chance. And so I didn't want to just be like, oh, whatever, okay. I wanted to make sure that not, I didn't need closure at all. I just wanted to prove to myself that I could stand up for myself and to stick to what it was that I wanted. And maybe I went about it in the wrong way, probably, because it was the first time, and you're gonna mess up the first time. It just is what it is. There's no way you're just gonna be like fresh out and just do everything perfectly with no mistakes. Like, that's not how it happens. And so obviously, complete fail, epic fail. Like, I mean, I did so many things wrong. It's ridiculous. Like, I really didn't expect any of that. I really expected me to be better than that, and I wasn't. And I, s- I mean, I promise you, the adversary just used that guilt that I felt, that the horrible feelings that I felt in that moment and every moment after that, he just kept throwing it in my face like, you're not good enough. See, this is what I was talking about. This is what's going to happen. You will never be able to do this. You're always going to have this type of thing happen. No one will ever respect you. Every time you set a standard, no one will ever step up to the plate to do the things that they need to do to respect and honor you in the right way. It'll always be like this. Like, I constantly like felt like crap. Like Satan was like using that to his full advantage and making me feel so horrible. Like you don't even understand. I really thought that I would never feel like that again. I thought that once I healed and, once I made it through like all the other stuff that I went through in the past that I had dealt with head on, that I had like been working on for so long, that I would feel stronger. Like I thought in the moment I would be a lot stronger. I thought that, it wouldn't matter to me. Like when you're not in it and you think about the things that you're not going to deal with and the things that you're going to do, it sounds good. It always sounds good. But in reality, when you really feel a certain type of way, when your heart's in it, when you really allow yourself to not be vulnerable, but you give yourself a chance to actually think about letting someone in. Like I didn't even allow people in my life at all. Like I still wanted to push people away, but then in the past. But I just, I still felt something so weird. And so, yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. Then then I thought that I could, after I stood up for myself, or once I would get an opportunity to stand up for myself, and I really never had the chance to speak up for myself too. Like I thought that I would have standards, like when someone did something wrong and I like spoke on it right away and said, hey, I'm not okay with this. This is what, you know, I don't I don't like to waste my time, things like that. I thought that I would have a chance to do something like that. I didn't know that there would be an option where I would never get the chance to say how I really feel and to have a standard so people could know, or the person would know that I actually have standards, that I actually respect and honor myself. So it made me beat myself up more. Like it gave Satan the avenue to just be like, exactly. Like exactly. Exactly. It really it really was like that. And you might not ever get a chance to stand up for yourself. I know it's sad. I know it's disappointing, especially since you put all this work in, especially since you've been working on yourself and you really feel healed and you have your standards and your boundaries and you know what you will and won't stand for or fall for, and you know exactly what your boundaries are and things like that. But sometimes people will not allow you the opportunity to speak up for yourself, or you might not get that chance. You might not. You might not get that chance because they might just think, well, you're not worth it. They might just feel like, well, I don't know. I don't know what they would think because I'm not another person, but it could be anything. And you might never get a chance to prove to yourself that you have standards and boundaries. Because for me, it's like people would come up to the starting line, but nobody would cross it. So I never got the chance to prove to myself that I was actually doing better, that I actually respected myself. And then the more time I spent with God, and as I traveled through this long, drawn out journey, because man, Satan was beating me up. Like the adversary and the trials and tribulations that I have went through since then have been so horrible. Like I literally, before I was like, okay, I think I might be healed and I'm going to let other people in my life, I really felt nothing but peace and joy. I didn't feel like any concerns about anything. I really like walked lighter. I looked lighter. I looked like I had the everything that I could have possibly want in my life. And I felt like I had everything I could possibly want in my life. I really felt like there's nothing that's going to come in between me and God, which nothing did. But, and I'm saying that I really felt unstoppable. I really felt like the world was my oyster. I know it sounds cliche. I know, but I really walked around with so much joy and so much peace, and I really felt like anything was possible. And the moment I felt like I was healed and I gave someone a chance, it was like the old me was right there. Like, I'm glad I got to come back. Like, I don't know why those things are around here. Those fruit flies or whatever. Mm. But yeah, the old me was just like, yeah, you thought that you were better than me. Like you really felt like you could do this. You really felt like you were a better person. And it did not feel good. It really felt crappy. It really felt horrible. And I would like to pretend like I was so strong. I just did all the right things. And, me standing up for myself really didn't matter because I knew who I was. I might have known that I was better. I might have felt healed and everything else, but it really took a piece of my joy, if that makes any sense. Like it made me feel like stoppable instead of unstoppable. It made me feel like all of the growth and healing that I did was for nothing. It really made me feel like, is this how every single person is going to view me? Because this is how people have viewed me in the past because I haven't had standards. And am I never going to get an opportunity to stand up for myself? Am I always going to be in a position where people are just going to feel like they can just come into my life and then just like, and I'm not saying that I thought that this thing would be something or anything like that. Like, it wasn't anything like that. I just felt so disappointed in myself. And I don't know how to describe it. I really felt like I should know better. I should have never let anybody in. I really should have just stayed boxed in. But I know that's all the adversary because whatever my blessings are going to be, I'm not going to be able to receive them if I'm blocking everybody out. And it's really hard because it's hard to imagine releasing control and allowing myself to be vulnerable or other people in my life when I have been hurt so badly. And before, the thing that really gave me hope was one, having God in my life, and then two, knowing that my standards and my values were different, that I really wanted better, that I deserved better. And also, just because you deserve better doesn't mean every person is going to treat you better. People are going to do whatever they can, whenever they can, until you stand up for yourself. And if you don't get the opportunity to stand up for yourself because it's the wrong place, the wrong time, because you don't talk to that person again, then do not beat yourself up. That's what I learned. Don't beat yourself up. And I say that with like my normal face with no like extra joy behind it, but it's true. Really. You can't be mad at yourself because you didn't do something that you didn't have an opportunity to do. It doesn't matter if you got the opportunity or you didn't. What matters is, do you honor and respect yourself? And if the answer is yes, then it doesn't matter what any other person thinks or whether you got an opportunity to do something or not. It might not feel like it might not feel great because you would feel like a sense of accomplishment if you did get to do it and stand up for yourself. And I did get an opportunity eventually to stand up for myself, but I don't think the person really respected me anyways. So it doesn't matter. But it felt good to me to be able to say what I wanted to say in a very respectful way. I wasn't rude or nasty or anything like that. I just said what it was. And they, try to push the boundaries again. Like, oh, well, I might do this. And I'm just like, we both know you're not going to do it. So, I don't know who that is. It was a robocall. So, I just wanted to double check to make sure it wasn't something that I needed for business purposes or whatever else. So, it wasn't. But yeah, I mean, they still tried it. And in the moment, I didn't say anything. I froze. I would like to pretend like, oh yeah, girl, I was so tough. I did this and that and blah, 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 blah. Like all the women in the videos try to make it seem like they really did more than they did. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be 100% real because this is real life. And there's people who are not always going to make the best decision in the moment all the time. That's what humans do. We're not a robot who automatically says the correct thing every time you turn around. Like, we're going to make mistakes and mess up. That's what humans do. Like, it is what it is. So, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I did the exact correct thing at the correct moment and he all of a sudden respected me. No, that did not happen. It didn't happen. Sorry, I know it's not what you wanted to hear in this video. You probably wanted some inspiration right there. And to hear me say that, oh yeah, he said I might do this. And I was like, oh no, like that's unacceptable. I really need someone to be about that life. I mean, my time, I value my life and I feel like this is important to me and this is what I would need. This is what I should have said. This is not what I said in the moment. I didn't say anything like that. I just said what I said. I was, my tone was right. My posture was right. I didn't get emotional. I didn't raise my voice or anything. I just said, this is what's really important to me. This is what I need. And then they counteracted with I might or I'll try to do something that was super important to me. And that was the moment that I realized that they don't respect me at all. And I just said, okay. Should have said that something else, but I felt like it really wouldn't have mattered because they really didn't care. So I just said, okay. In the future, will I do something different? Who knows? I hope I would. But I don't know. And it was at that moment that I did not contact or will not be able to receive any contact from that person ever again. Unless something happens in the future that God's like, hey, I'm gonna need you to be the bigger person. That's the only way I'm probably gonna ever talk to that person again. I mean, if I see them somewhere because we hang out or we go to similar places or something, then of course I'm not gonna be a nasty human being and just be rude or anything like that. I would still probably say hi, but that's it. I I know. It's disappointing. There's people that just keep traveling by and I keep thinking like they're slowing down and stuff probably because the camera and stuff and they might be able to see it through the glass, but I don't know. But yeah. Mm. Yeah, that's what I said. Okay. Just like that. Just okay. I would like to say I was disappointed in myself in that moment, but I kind of shut down, honestly. I really felt super guarded and I mean, they were like, that's one of the things that I do that, I really need someone to whatever, keep me, um, whatever, hold me accountable. And in my head, all I could think is, you've already messed up enough. Like, just exit as soon as possible. Just do whatever it is that you have to do. Keep going on with your life because there's no way you can rectify the situation now. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was thinking is like when it comes to situations like that, I know that when you really first meet somebody, I mean, there will be things that happen throughout life, but it's then that you have to really have your standards and stick to them. And I messed up so badly. I just felt like it was too late. I really felt like all of the things that I should have said or did, I didn't do. And when I did have a moment to say something, then I would like to, like the old me would have said, I wish I could go back to that scenario and say, no, I'm serious. Like, this is what I really would need. And this is what, like, inconsistency is something that's completely inappropriate to me. It's not something that I want in my life from anyone. And I can't have, I, I mean, I don't know how to say that in a really nice way, but I really probably would have reiterated and just went on about my life or went on about my business or whatever else. I don't know. But things like that is what the adversary has been using to like really make me feel crappy or whatever else lately. He's really been like, oh, see, you should have done this here. You should have done this or said this here. You really should have done this way. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, and you can't change the past. So it's like one of those things that's really been hurting me. So it's like, I'm so busy beating myself up, I can't be in the moment. And I think it's important for us to remember that even though we can't change the past, we can change the future. And to keep using those lessons, those things that have happened in the past as lessons, and keep using it to build us into stronger people. Don't allow what Satan is trying to use against you or the doubt that he's trying to place in your mind to make you forget the promises that God made you. Don't let him manipulate you into thinking that every person is going to be the same. No, every person is going to be exactly who you allow them to be. Don't weaken yourself. Don't. And for me, I just felt like I already lost. What's the point of me standing up for myself now? Like, now there's no way this person will ever respect me. So, what's the purpose of me saying what I actually want? What is the purpose of me speaking up for myself? What is the point of me doing anything else in this moment? Because the person obviously doesn't respect me. They will never respect me because I've never said anything. They will obviously never ever see me as a potential person because they would want someone who holds them accountable, and I have just really not done anything. I really just have been constantly failing at this. and and now it's too late. And so for me it was just like, really, like, better and you still did this. Really. But like I said, that's a trick of Satan. He really wants you to feel like you can't do better, like you won't get better, like you won't be able to do better, like you'll never be able to improve upon yourself. He really wants to make you feel like this is the end all be all, like God doesn't perform miracles. He really wants to make you feel like you're missing something in your life when you have everything that you need. I literally have been so blessed, and I hadn't even been able to enjoy my blessings because I've been so hard on myself, because I've been just thinking about all the mistakes that I've been making and the decisions that I've made and things that I haven't been able to speak up for myself about, or things that I didn't speak up for myself in the moment about. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you did or didn't say something when you needed to say something. Going forward, make sure that you say something when you need to say it. And I really am going to work on getting over the defeatist personality. Like, I do good for the most part. And then sometimes I get into a moment, like whether it's with friends or family or potential people. And if I have already messed up or done something wrong, I'm kind of just like, what's the purpose? I know it sounds so horrible, especially for me to be like inspirational and, walking by faith and all that other stuff. It's just, this is me being real. Like, sometimes I really do get into that mindset every once in a while. Like, it rears its ugly head out of nowhere. Like, if if one of my family members does something that I don't like and I don't say something, or let's say I say something, sometimes I say something, I can be a little snarky, and then I'm like, no, I don't mean it in this way or whatever. Like, I'll speak up for myself, and I try to keep my emotions in check, because sometimes it'll be like I'll wait and then I'll say something. But now I try to be like right on top of it, because I don't want to be the person who lets it build up and then ends up blowing up or saying something crazy, because I feel like I have to defend myself. Like, I want to make sure that I am calm, and I'm talking to them in a respectful way, whoever it is, to make sure that they can hear what I'm saying and not just see my emotions. And so when it comes to family, I really have to make sure that if they do something that I don't like, I speak on it right then. Or I pull them aside and I speak on it. Or if I'm speaking up for myself, I say it in a way that's respectful. And sometimes it'll be something like it's someone's personality. This is just who they are. And even though I feel a certain type of way about it, I know they don't mean any harm by it. So what I have to do is I have to use as less energy as I possibly can in that situation. I have to say, oh, okay. Okay. And usually when you say okay, or whatever, when someone's talking, instead of having a rebuttal or going back and forth with them, the conversation ends faster. And okay takes little to no energy. Like, if someone's doing something and it's their personality and it's not breaking you, then just say okay. Don't put so much energy into it. Allow it to just pass on by. Like, it's just an afterthought after that. So it doesn't matter anymore. So that is what it is. When it comes to friends, if my friends do something that I don't agree with, usually we're straight up with each other. I don't really have too many issues like that when it comes to my friends. If they say something or do something that I don't like, or I do something or say something that they don't like, or we disagree with each other, we are straight up. Like, that's the way I like it. That's the way I've always wanted it. And I'm glad that I have them in my life, and so blessed to have the people in my life that are supposed to be there. Now, in the future, when it comes to potential people, I'm hoping that I really am hoping and praying, God, just give me the strength to be able to just stand up and speak up for myself, to listen and speak up for myself. That's what I really truly want to do in the future. I don't want to have this defeatist mindset where I just feel like I've already messed up now. I can't rectify the situation, or it's too late for me to say something now. But I know I said this in another video, but it is never too late for you to respect yourself. Ever. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what type of person you are, what type of things that you've done, what type of things that you haven't done that you wish that you would have done. You can always decide to respect yourself at this moment, no matter what happened in the past. The past is the past. There's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do to change it. You can't go back and say something different. You can't go back and make it something different. You can't take back what you said. The only thing you can do now is move forward. The only thing you can do now is respect yourself at this moment, going forward. And in the future, when I do have conversations with certain people, I think that I think it may have been different if I would have just reiterated that that was what was important to me. Maybe they would have done something different. Maybe they wouldn't have. I don't know, but for me, it would have helped me. It would have helped me feel better about the situation, because I would have known that I said everything I needed to say. I would have known that I was being real and honest, and this is truly how I feel about the situation. It's not me pretending to be something that I'm not, to like lower myself for any reason at all. And I still respected myself because I stood up for myself the first time, and usually I don't. So even me doing that is growth, because usually I really feel like I have no voice when it comes to people, like when it comes to potential people. I feel like they don't want to hear what I have to say, and they don't want me to really speak up for myself. They really just want me to just shut up and accept whatever. And I don't want to do that at all. Like, I would walk away and not say anything is what, like, the type of person I am. But I know that I really do have to be honest and be willing to speak up for myself, because I can't be that type of person who just like ghosts people for no reason and doesn't tell them the reason why. Like, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So I have to make sure that I'm being real and honest and honoring myself and saying it in a respectful way. I don't ever want to come off like you did this. Like, no, it's not about the other person. It's about me respecting myself. And in order for me to respect myself, if there's a standard that I have and that's something that I really want and truly desire in my life, if it's something that I need and the person feels like it's unimportant, that's their problem. I know what it is that I want and what I need for my life. So if they respect me and they really want me to be a part of their life, then they will be willing to do it. That's it. And you can only control what you do. So in conclusion, because I don't want to keep going on and it turned into a whole thing, but watch your tongue. Speak life over yourself. Instead of saying that every person's going to be the same, why don't you say this person's going to be different? Or I, the only people that I'm going to meet are going to be people who are the only people that I will allow in my life are going to be people who are willing to adhere to my standards. And I say standards, not preferences. Standards are things that truly matter in your core. They're things that make a person's character. They're things that make that person, I don't want to say be the right person for you, but they allow you to protect yourself in a healthy way. They allow you to be able to have those boundaries around yourself so that when people who aren't supposed to be there try to enter your life, they can't pass through because they're unwilling to do it. So you have to be willing to have those standards and stick to them no matter what, whether you say it at the beginning or whenever. It's better to say it right away, to nip it in the bud, because for me that was like one of my biggest regrets was not being able to say anything at the beginning. You might not get an opportunity to. If you don't beat yourself up about it. You're not always going to get a chance to have closure or to speak up for yourself, but when you do have a chance to, you should. And for me it was just like wrong place, wrong time, bunch of people, no way to like leave the crowd or something else. So of course I'm not going to like pull, say something like that to someone in front of other people, because I'm not trying to tear someone down or make them feel a certain type of way or beat up on them. I just want to speak up for myself. And so for me to do that, I feel like the only way I would do something like that is over like a phone call or maybe a text message or in person. And for me personally, I don't know why I thought this, but I wanted it to be like a phone call or in person. But it really could have just been a quick text message, like, you know, blah, 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 whatever it was I was going to say in a respectful way. But for me, when I text, I say the wrong thing. Like, I always butcher every text message. I do. I don't know why I'm so horrible at texting for me to be my age, but I really suck at texting. And I'm gonna take that back and say I'm gonna be better at texting because apparently this is what young people do. And so I have to be a texter now for some reason. But I really do appreciate face to face conversations and communication over the phone because for me as an older person, I really feel like you can't express emotion in a text message. You can't have voice fluctuation in a text message. You can't really get to know someone through words. I mean, yeah, you can probably say a poem or write a story or a book or something like that and have your emotion in there. But when it comes to a text message, it's a machine. It's not built with emotion. It's not, even if you put an emoji at the end, it's still not, for me, it doesn't like hit the message home. It's not allowing me to show my personality. Like I might do like a side eye and my side eye might be like, mm-mm. Their side eye might be like, okay, I see you, like no. So it means something different to everyone. And I feel like for stuff like that, communication, for that to be so extremely important to me, I I don't think I could do the nowadays relationships with just text messages. I don't think that would be the type of thing that would be for me in a friendship or a relationship. Now, for friends that I've known for like 15 years, obviously we're gonna text each other. I know this person. Like they are silly when they say certain stuff like this. When they say they're gonna meet at this time, we're like, okay, we're gonna meet at this time. When they are feeling a certain type of way, I mean, we pick up the phone and we call each other and we text each other when it's something short and quick. Like if I'm running into work and I'm like, hey girl, just checking to see how you doing. Like something like that, of course we're texting then. But if I really want to check on my friends, like, and I have time to talk to them, I am not gonna say, hey, how you doing? And then just sit there, not like I might be doing other stuff, but if I actually have the time to talk to my friends, I'm not just going to send them a quick text message and just be like, whatever. I'm going to probably call them and say, hey, girl, I haven't talked to you in a while if I have the time. I'm not saying I'm just gonna like getting ready to go into a movie theater and call my friend, you know, when the movie's about to start and I gotta be that person that's talking on the cell phone and they're like, shh, and then the thing comes up on the screen and it's like, no cell phones in the theater. Put your phones on silent. Remember to silence your phones. Like I don't want to be that person. So of course I wouldn't do it there. But when I'm getting to know people in general, I really feel like a phone conversation allows you to see their personality. So you can get to know the person so that you can communicate better. And it makes me feel better about expressing myself when I'm communicating more. When when I'm talking to someone, I feel like it makes me feel more comfortable. It just does. It's just me. There might be other women who are okay with it. I don't know what they do, but that's just one of the things for me. It just there's so many even when there's nonverbal communication, there's regular communication, whatever, but even when you are in person, there are still things that can be misconstrued. But I feel like I would have a way to explain myself. I would have a better opportunity to explain myself, even though I don't say everything that I want then either. But it gives me an opportunity to be more comfortable around whoever it is. And like even with a job, when there's a job and I'm meeting the boss or something like that, we have a face-to-face conversation and they call. If they the first conversation I have with my boss is them sending me a text message or an email, I'm not going to feel comfortable in that position. I'm not going to feel like if I have an issue, I can come to my boss or I can come to one of my colleagues. I would feel like so uncomfortable talking to them because we haven't built any rapport. I would feel the same way in a friendship. If I'm getting to know somebody, like I met this girl at the vendor show and we're talking to each other, if we see each other one day or something and she just sends me a text message like, "Hey, how you doing?" I mean, like I'd probably be like, "Who is this?" Or I'd be like, "Oh, hey." And then I would probably think like, how do I know this person? Then they say how they know me or something. But usually like even when I meet people like that, they'll call first and then text or something. And I'm not saying people have to call and then text and do all this stuff, but I really do feel like the art of communication is being lost with new technology because people are relying on a text message to express their feelings, to be able to have a real connection with someone, to really be able to connect and to grow and to whatever else. And I don't think that a text message does all of that. I think it's good for like little quaint things, little things that everyone says, or, just a, hey, how are you kind of thing, but not like a real conversation. I feel like over the phone communicate talk or face to face is what really builds a connection there. Like I talk to some of my family members. When I'm talking to one of my family members that I'm close to, we text each other every once in a while, like something silly. But for the most part, we're talking over the phone because I'm just that type of person. It's not like I feel like that's not like a ridiculous ask. That's like a normal thing. I don't know. Maybe it is ridiculous for some people. I don't know. I'm not out in these streets. I don't know what people be doing. But but even when I talk to them, like they might send like a silly, like GIF or something like that, or a message like with a picture and then like some words at the bottom. But that's like a silly thing that we do every once in a while. But most of the time, like yesterday, I'm on the phone with them. A couple days ago, I'm on the phone with them. we're like really hashing it out and talking about theories and all this different stuff like we usually do. And I mean, that's just like what we do. That's how I communicate the best. That's how I get to know people. That's how I build a connection with people. That's just something that's super important to me, because if I feel like you really deserve to be a part of my life, then I would want to talk to you. If I don't want to talk to you, if I ever say to you, and hope nobody from the future watches this, but but if I ever say, "Oh yeah, just send me a text message." Now the first conversation, if you just send me a text message to say who you are, that's different. But if you're somebody who is a part of my life and I just say only text me, it's because I don't want you to be a part of my life. It's because, and I don't say it in a mean way. I would be nice and loving and kind to everybody. But there's certain people who really make me, they might not be the best person to be in my life. Like maybe I have to do business with them. That person that I was talking about in the other video, like I have to do business with this one person who I have a past with, who is and I say past like we knew each other in the past and stuff like that. And they might not be the nicest person. I don't want to talk to that person over the phone at all. Like if I could not talk to them, period, it would be like a blessing. But I know that God sometimes strengthens you in areas that you're weak. So if I know that this is something I struggle with, then this is going to allow me to become a better person. I just look at it that way. But I obviously only want to text that person because I don't want to have a conversation with them. That's so like unlovingly to say, but you know what I mean. So for me, if I'm saying that I want to talk to someone, it's because I really feel like they deserve to be a part of my life, or they deserve to be a friend or acquaintance or something like that. And I respect them enough to say something like that. It's not because I want to be controlling or I need things a certain type of way. It's really just because I feel like they could be an asset, or because they seem like a decent human being or something like that. So I know I went on and on really for a long time. My voice is going in and out. Like you hear it like go away and then it's like back. But but really, speak life into yourself. I just bringing it full circle. Speak life into yourself and do not allow the adversary to make you feel guilty because you couldn't speak up for yourself. Just because you don't get the opportunity to doesn't mean that you don't respect yourself. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have better for you. It doesn't mean that life won't be better. It doesn't mean that this is how it's always going to be. There will be new people. There will be new opportunities and things in your life. There will be things that happen for you on your behalf that God does in your life, and you can't allow you not being able to speak up for yourself, or not having the opportunity to speak up for yourself, or not doing the right thing at the right time, because I promise you every single person has been in that situation. Everybody. I've been in that situation. And that's just me being real. Like every person has made a decision in their life that they wish they didn't make, or done something that they know they could have done better. We had this is like the last quick thing I'm going to say because this video is super long. But we had this thing at school where this teacher gave us this paper and we had to go through and do like all of these things. We had to answer all these questions and do all of this stuff. And we finish the paper, we go and turn it in, and almost everybody in the class fails it. Everybody. Like there was one person that had like a 70 or something like that, which isn't that good. But the teacher says, okay, so I'm going to go over this material, and then and then once I go over this material, I have a question for you. So she goes over this material and she talks about all this stuff, the things that it wasn't the things that we were tested on, but it was similar. So if we had retaken the test, it would be a little different. So at the end of her talking about it, she says, how many people in this class think that they could do better if they were given another chance? And every single person raised their hand. And she said, that's exactly how life is. Whenever you make a decision in your life or you mess up on something, you always feel like you can do better at it. but really you did the best that you could in the moment. So it's important for you to remember that if you are doing the best that you can in the moment, even if you don't do perfect, even if you mess up, even if you say the wrong things and everything else, just know that there's always an opportunity to do better as long as you're breathing. As long as God is giving you another opportunity to be better and do better, then do better. Don't worry about anything that you've done wrong. Don't worry about not having the chance to do something, because if God sees that you're trying, you don't have anything to prove to anybody. You don't have to prove to the person. You don't have to prove to yourself. Just honor, love, and respect yourself. It doesn't matter what else you've done. God has already forgiven you and graced you through all of the things that you've done wrong in the past. This little teeny thing that you did wrong, this thing that you just did a misstep, you made the wrong decision, you didn't speak up, but whatever it was that you did in your life, stop harboring on it, because all it's going to do is hold you back from your blessings. And in order for God to bless you, you need to be willing to look past that. You have to be willing to allow the right people in your life and allow God to make those decisions for you. Stop trying to put so much on your shoulders that you feel like you have to do these things alone, because you don't. God is right there with you, and He will guide you every step of the way.